everyone, welcome for today's live. We'll give few seconds and then we'll start the live soon. So today we are here yet again with another topic, with a new topic for which I have been getting queries all these while. So let's discuss about the same. So it's already 1 o'clock and let's get started. Hi everyone, I am Deepika Rathod, Chief Nutrition Officer, Head Nutritionist, Lifestyle Expert and Head of Gut Vertical from Luke's team. And I have been getting this query and people are asking me that whether hemorrhoids and pile are same or they are different or what are this condition actually. So I'm here to talk about this because many people nowadays are suffering from hemorrhoids and piles, but they are not opening up to everyone. They are not informing it to their family members as well because they feel it's not, it's not good to be constipated, which leads to all of these issues. So there is like a social taboo over this particular topic, and that's why people don't come out and talk about the hemorrhoids or piles actually. So are they different or they are same? Hemorrhoids and piles are same. It's just the names are different, but they are same. Wherein your anal, your anal or rectal muscle gets swollen, it actually, starts inflaming inside when you have constipation. When you're not able to clear your stools properly, the stool starts becoming harder and harder. And when it starts getting harder, you have to put more pressure to pass out the motion. So this harder stool actually starts irritating the anal and rectal lining, which leads to inflammation, which creates a little pressure and the vein starts bulging. That's where a person starts facing hemorrhoids. Now there are two types of hemorrhoids. One is internal and one is external. Internal one actually happens inside the anus and external happens around the skin of the anus. When you talk about hemorrhoids or piles, the most common cause for this is constipation, as I said. So when a person is constipated, we have to put a lot of pressure to ease out the motion or to evacuate the motion. But since the stools are getting harder inside, that harder stool starts irritating the lining inside the anus, which leads to inflammation, which leads to irritation, and that also leads to bleeding. That's why people also suffer from bleeding piles or bleeding hemorrhoids. So constipation is one major root cause that leads to hemorrhoids or piles. Apart from that, people are sitting longer for doing their job. Nowadays we have more of sedentary lifestyle. People are not moving around. So if you sit at one place for a longer duration, many people sit throughout the day because of their work, and that leads to more pressure on the anus because you're sitting on your anus, you're sitting on your hip bones, and that leads to more pressure, which can create piles and hemorrhoids in longer run. Apart from that, many people also forget to drink water. So if you are dehydrated, your body still needs water for performing its day-to-day activity. And when your body needs water, that means it starts leaching out water internally. Now where it can leach out water is from the stools that are getting stored in the colon. Your stools have water that adds bulk to it. That's where it becomes easier for the motion to pass through the rectum and the anus. But when your body starts leaching out water, your stool starts becoming dry. And when the stool becomes dry, that's when it is difficult for us to evacuate the motion properly. We start facing constipation, we start facing incomplete evacuation, and both of which can further lead to hemorrhoids or piles. Apart from that, people who also strain a lot when they are passing motion, because nowadays people enter in the washroom with their mobile phones, so half of their mind is occupied with the mobile phone, wherein the vagus nerve may not get stimulated properly and the peristaltic movement of the motion may not happen. So this also leads to constipation. This also leads to hemorrhoids or piles, because you then have to strain a lot, and whenever you strain a lot, you are inflaming that vein, you're bulging the vein under pressure, and that leads to piles. Apart from that, if a person has chronic constipation or even chronic diarrhea for that matter, wherein the person is passing motion, even loose stool, which is irritating the anus. That also leads to pile, because anything that irritates the anus can create inflammation, can create piles. So these are certain common causes that can lead to piles and fissures. Now, I'm not just here to discuss about what exactly is piles or what are the causes, but I'm also here to give you practical tips that you can follow on a regular basis to overcome the piles or hemorrhoids issue. Now, the very first thing that I talked about was constipation that leads to the piles and fissures issue. So the thumb rule is to make sure that you don't feel constipated. And to make sure that you're not feeling constipated, it's very, very important for us to, one, increase the fiber intake in the meal. When you have good enough amount of fiber, that is your vegetables, it adds bulk to your motion and you feel better. That means your motion starts getting bulk. It can pass easily through the rectum, through the colon, wherein you don't feel constipated. Apart from that, the second thing is dehydration that we talked about. So you have to add good enough amount of water, hydration in your body to make sure again that you're adding bulk to your motion, your body is not dehydrated and it doesn't leach out water from the stools that are getting stored in the colon. So fiber and water is very essential to add bulk to your motion to make sure that you don't feel constipated or there is no incomplete evacuation happening and you pass a proper motion wherein the hemorrhoid or piles issue will get under control. Apart from that, there are certain natural laxatives as well that you can use, but using it for shorter term is much better as your body can get dependent on it and then you will have to take it lifelong to make sure that you're passing proper motion. So maybe for 7 days or so you can try triphala, 1 tablespoon triphala mixed in a cup of water. Take it at bedtime and next morning you'll see that your motions are completely cleared. Or you can also soak figs. Figs you can soak in olive oil for like 7 days. Keep it as it is untouched, and from 7th day onwards for next 7 days you have 2 figs soaked in olive oil at bedtime. Chew it properly. You have to chew it very minutely and after that you can drink a cup of warm water if you want. So this also helps you in cleaning the bowel the next morning. So you either take triphala or you take figs. You can't take 2 things together, otherwise it can create more motion issues as well. And as we saw, not just the constipation but even diarrhea leads to piles. So let's make sure that you take either of the option. Follow it only for 7 days till the time your motion gets better, and hand in hand try to work on the fiber intake and water intake so that you feel better. There are no issues with respect to the constipation as well. Apart from that, when you have bleeding piles, when you have too much of inflammation, you can also look at adding oregano oil in your routine. Now, oregano oil has anti-inflammatory, antiviral and antibiotic properties, which actually works on reducing the inflammation from the anus. So you can just take half a teaspoon to maximum 1 teaspoon of oregano oil, depending on how it's suiting you, and mix it in a cup of water and drink this any time of the day. It can be taken after breakfast or after lunch or after dinner as well. Just half to 1 teaspoon of oregano oil, mix it in a cup of water and sip it. This helps in reducing the inflammation from the anus area. It works on healing the gut lining and further works on improving the piles and fissures as well. So this was about how we can take care of the piles. One more easy thing that a person who is already suffering from piles can do is sitz bath. Now, sitz bath is nothing but immersing your pelvic area in a mixture of water, wherein your pelvic area is completely soaked in the water, and you get the benefit in the pelvic area, in your anus, or for ladies it can be vaginal area as well. So what you need to do is you need to take a tub full of warm water It shouldn't be too hot, it shouldn't be too cold. So warm water, as in how you can tolerate it, and add 1 tablespoon of turmeric powder in it. Mix it properly and then sit in that warm water for 10 to 15 minutes. When you sit in that warm water for 10 to 15 minutes, the turmeric actually starts entering into your rectal area, and it works on the irritation or inflammation that has already happened. It starts improving and healing it. So if you do this for 10 to 15 minutes on a daily basis, the piles pain, bleeding piles and all of that will start getting under control slowly and gradually. So these were certain tips that you can start following on a regular basis to make sure that you're easing out your motion properly, or you overcome the bleeding piles or pain that you must be facing. But apart from that, we also saw that one of the main cause for getting a piles or hemorrhoid is long sitting hours. So that's why making sure that you're moving around every now and then. Take out some time, take shorter breaks every hour, get up, get a glass of water for yourself, drink the water, come back, and then again start with your work. But don't sit at one place for more than an hour, because ultimately the body also starts producing lactic acid, which can hamper your blood circulation. So every hour you can just get up, move around for a minute, come back and sit. That 1 minute will add circulation in your body. It will also help you in prevention from the piles and hemorrhoids. It will never affect anybody's work, because you're just taking out that 1 minute for yourself to just go and get a glass of water, drink, come back and sit. So all of these things will be helpful. Last but not the least, let's try and make sure that you follow all these tips properly and take care of your meals as well. If your meals are loaded with too much of carbs, too much of breads and pizzas and all, or cheese as well for that matter, it can cause constipation, which can further leads to piles and hemorrhoids issue. So just try and make sure that you make these small lifestyle changes, you make these small food changes to improve your motions, which will further take care of your piles. Great. So that was it from my end. Let me see if we have any questions. Okay, we don't have any questions so far. So that was it from my end, guys. In case you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out to us on our FB page and we'll be there to answer. Take care, everyone. Have a good day ahead. Bye.